So glad to have you here, man. I hope y'all are enjoying this. We're going to jump into this conversation today. For those of you that are new here, if you haven't already, go ahead and let us know in our poll in the chat. I am loving seeing I see the loves, I see the 100s. If you ain't hit one of those what are they, reactions, go ahead and hit one of them for us. And let us know if this is your first time joining us for our Sunday sessions or not. Let us know. And I'm telling you, go ahead and buckle up because we're about to get into some good conversation today. I love that Tired of Liars. Praise reality, man. I tell people falling in love with reason is the best thing that I've ever done. Y'all don't hear me out there. Can I say it one more time? Falling in love with reason is the best thing that I've ever done. Again, welcome to Sunday Sessions. My name is Darante LaMar. Normally, you see my wife up here with me. She's taking a little break today, but she's going to be back with us, and you're going to see her today, and I'm excited about that. But we are jumping into a new series of conversations today called Disagreement Therapy. I hope y'all are ready for this. Conflict isn't the enemy. Disconnection is. Now, that might feel like a radical statement, especially in a world that's been trained to see every disagreement as a threat, to treat every difference like a battlefield, to treat every moment of tension like something to be avoided, escaped, or won. But what if disagreement didn't have to destroy us? What if it could grow us? Today, we're stepping into a conversation that has the power to shift how we show up in our relationships, our politics, our personal lives, and our community spaces. We're not just here to talk about what we disagree on. We're here to talk about how we disagree. Because here's the truth, not all conversations are created equal, and not all disagreements are worth having. Damn, I got to say that again, all right? Not all conversations are created equal, and not all disagreements are worth having. But the ones that are, they require something that most of us were never taught: good faith. Good faith is more than a buzzword. It's more than polite behavior. It's the posture of someone who shows up not to perform, not to manipulate, not to dominate, but to connect, to understand, and to grow. And let's be real. In a time when echo chambers are weaponized, when debates become content, and when curiosity has been replaced by contempt, choosing good faith is an act of resistance. So today, we're not here for outrage. We're here for something deeper. This is disagreement therapy. Because when we stop fearing conflict and start reframing it, we discover something powerful. That conflict isn't the problem. Polarization is. And if we can shift from performance to presence, and damn, I feel like I'm preaching already, y'all. If we can shift from performance to presence, from ego to empathy, from debate to dialogue, then maybe we don't just survive disagreement. Maybe we heal through it. If you're excited for this conversation, go ahead and find some type of good faith emoji and drop that bad boy in the chat. And if you can't find one, just type good faith in the chat to let somebody know that you're here, you're engaged, and you're ready for this conversation. Are y'all ready? Are y'all ready for this? The name of that song was Alone a Lot, and that's Louis York and Anthony Hamilton. Yes. Oh, man, look at there. Look at there. I love it. I love it. Yes, good faith. That's today's conversation. We're talking about good faith. Man, this is going to be exciting. Good faith is one of the most important and misunderstood concepts when it comes to disagreement, dialogue, and debate, especially in conversations about relationships, politics, and religion. And while I'm here, I do want to stress that good faith isn't just about debates, because sometimes that's what we do. We make up in our minds that Good faith is only a requirement if I'm having a conversation that's a debate. You know, honestly, I need good faith to be present in every conversation I have, debate or not. I love this. I knew this was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to go this good so far. But so whatever conversation, whether it's a disagreement, whether it's dialogue, whether it's dialectics, whether it's debate, in every conversation, what is going to be an absolute requirement for your boy is good faith. If you want to talk to me, I'm going to need you to have some good faith. Man, isn't that good? Like, let somebody know, no, if you want to engage any type of conversation with me, why would I be in a relationship with somebody who's not operating in good faith? No, I want to deal with good faith. Man, me and my wife were talking about that this morning, and our kind of like pre-session, our little pre-game of what we're kind of talking things through. And we were kind of talking through some of these this morning about how even as children, sometimes we're conditioned not only not to disagree, but not to question. And so, if you grew up by parents who were raised by people from the South, you were likely told stuff like, children got to stay in children's place. This is grown-up conversation. Don't be looking in my mouth. And then it will go that extra step of sometimes somebody's telling a story and the story may not make sense to you, and you're trying to get clarity, and then you begin to be treated as though your attempt for clarity is somehow disdain. You know what I'm saying? And so, and what that happens is it keeps people away. It keeps people from engaging conversations in good faith. It locks people down. It's like, well, why should I ask any questions? Because how many of you out there, I know if you raised your hand, I wouldn't be able to see it, but how many of you out there sometimes withdraw from asking questions because you're afraid that if you ask this question, this person may feel attacked? This is an environment that we've created. We've bred this. We've cultivated this because we have not made good faith a priority, a prerequisite. Oh, I love that. Rainbow Rat says she was always taught to ask questions. See, and that's how we're raising our children right now. We have 4 of them. We got 4 of them, 2 of them that'll be going off to college next year or the year after next year. Yeah, so you know how it works. They'll be going off to college. They'll be seniors this year. Yeah, that's how I do it. So they'll be seniors this year, and then they're going off to college, and we're teaching them now to always ask questions. Oh, but not only that, but to ask them in good faith. Ask them in good faith. I'll tell mine real quickly. Depending on the question you're asking me, I'll be like, now, out of all the people to ask, especially in the world of Google, why would you ask me this? I ain't got no qualifications in this. I have no certifications in this. And so it's also teaching them how to ask questions, where to ask questions. We're getting some good stuff today. So good faith is one of the most important and misunderstood concepts when it comes to this, right? Especially in conversations about relationships, politics, and religion. And so I want to get us started off here by giving us some type of definition of good faith, especially when it comes to our conversations. Who knew that we could take the word faith and give it some utility in the humanist community? It's beautiful. All right, so at its core, good faith means entering into a conversation with a genuine intention to understand, engage, or resolve. All right? So I can't wait. As you can notice, we're working on repackaging how we're doing our live shows. I cannot wait till we can get our lower thirds running back through here, because I'd love to have this on the screen. But look at this. When we're talking about good faith, we're talking about entering into a conversation with a genuine intention to understand. Am I asking this question with a genuine, wink, wink, you're not wrong, Rainbow, with a genuine intention to understand? Is that what I'm trying to do? Or am I entering this conversation with an intention to engage? Or, hey, am I entering this conversation to resolve? I need some yeses in those areas, without manipulation, deception, hidden agendas, or refusal to listen. It's the opposite of being defensive, combative, or dishonest. I refuse to have conversations with defensive people. I refuse to have conversations with combative people. At that moment, we've already gotten out of position for productivity. Nothing productive is going to happen at this moment after you've got into defense or you've gotten into combat, because at that moment, it's a fight, not a conversation. Dang, this is good. All right, so I want to share some key signs of good faith, and we're still in the beginning, man. Are y'all liking this? Are y'all digging this so far? Let me know. Let me know. I know I'm a little limited. I can't see everything in the chat, but I promise you I'll come back and watch this stuff. All right, so watch this. Key signs of good faith. A person is likely operating in good faith when they are willing to clarify their position when asked. So what did you mean by that? All right. Can you give me a little bit more insight into that? Okay. Oh, I didn't think about it that way. Can you let me know why you thought about it that way? Do you mind if I ask why that's the first thing that popped up in your mind? Maybe that wasn't the first thing. All right. So we know this is good, right? Thank you. So are we willing to clarify my position when I'm asked? Well, Darante, why do you think religion or religious superstition is harmful? Well, I've done quite a few videos on it, clarifying my position. Now let me stop. All right, another one is listen carefully instead of interrupting or talking over you, right? These are signs. Oh man, listen, acknowledge valid points even if they disagree with the conclusion. And that's something you'll notice, you're dealing with someone who's currently engaging in bad faith is when they stonewall valid points because they're afraid of the conclusion. And so you make a point and the point is valid and they know it's valid, but instead of them admitting that it's valid because they're afraid of where that slippery slope may lead, they will talk about, they will vehemently deny the validity of a valid point. See, at that moment, you know you're dealing with someone who is not engaging in that moment in bad faith. And let me clarify right here real quick, just to be absolutely clear, because we're people-centric around here. Just because someone is entering a conversation in bad faith does not mean that they're a bad person. All right, so I do want to clarify that. Someone could be engaged, someone could be dealing in bad faith. Please, let's not equate that with meaning that they are a bad person, right? So, and watch this. You making the decision to separate from the conversation doesn't mean you're rejecting their personhood. And see, these are some lines that we're going to have to walk and deal with. There's no way we could talk about all of this in 4 weeks. That's how long we're going to be in this series. But there is so much to talk about. And these are the things that we need to be talking about. Like I spent 20 years of my life showing up on Sundays like this, talking about stuff that was ultimately, and excuse my language for those of you with sensitive ears, but talking about stuff that was ultimately bullshit. I am paying a debt back to myself by saying, no, I'm going to commit my time now on talking to some people on Sundays who want I just want some conversations that matter. I want some conversations that are going to help me shift from point A from point B. I want some conversations that are not only going to help me let go of religion, but some conversations that are going to help me keep rising after religion. I don't want to just let go. I want to get up. Go ahead, man. If we were in church, I'd tell you to high five your neighbor and tell him I want to get up. I'm sorry, it got good to me. Exactly. Not bad people, oftentimes just hurting, man. Oh, man. And if we really begin to see people through the lens of reality, you realize that's what you're dealing with everybody. You're dealing with a bunch of hurting people. Okay. Damn, this got good. All right. So another good sign of good faith is asking thoughtful questions, not gotchas or traps. All right. Not gotchas or traps. And when you're dealing with someone just trying to catch you, I got you. I think people feel like that when they're in conversations with me, but it's because I'm so detail oriented and I always zig when you think I'm going to zag. And I'm sorry, that's just the way my neurospicy work. But in all fairness, I let people know that. I tell you, I say, this is how I flow now. So are you sure you want to cross that line? Because I'm telling you something, like the more intense it gets, there's a whole fool in here. Y'all don't want to know. All right. All right. Here another good flag. Let's call it a green flag of good faith is stay on topic instead of deflecting or whatabouting. All right. And again, so when you see a person who's struggling to stay on topic in the conversation, or they're deflecting in the conversation, that person is no longer engaging you in good faith. This person has ultimately clocked out of the conversation and switched over into combat mode. Watch this. Disagreements can be conversations or disagreements can be combats. I think there's a better way to say it. As a preacher, there's a better way to say it. And y'all tell me if I'm wrong or not. But disagreements, watch this, disagreements can be conversations or disagreements can be competitions. Right? Oh man. And the difference is what you're trying to get out of it. Oh man. All right. A conversation, I'm trying to get understanding. Right? A competition, I'm just trying to win. All right. So when you're dealing with disagreements, you need to be able to delineate which type of disagreement am I in right now? Am I in a conversation or am I in a competition? And I'm not saying all competitions are bad, but if I win, what do I win? See, does anybody ever sit to ask themselves that question? I'm jumping ahead of myself. It's in my notes somewhere else. But no, if I win this, yes, that's good, Rainbow. Conversation or conflict. If I win, what do I win? What do I win? What do I win? Oh, this is good. All right. So, dang it. All right. So let's go. And then demonstrate curiosity, not just contempt. And this is actually a major point that we got to get to that place. And I think you kind of notice if you troll my comments every now and then, you will see that I don't engage people. And the only way I really engage people is if I feel like you're coming to the conversation in good faith. Now, I'm just going to be honest with you. A lot of people on YouTube ain't coming to the comment section in good faith, not with something negative to say. And there are some parameters there that I could add to that would probably make us all feel like children, but I'm not going to do that right now. Instead, I'm just going to let you know the reason I can do that, the reason I make that decision so quickly is because if I can read within the first sentence that you're coming in contempt, then I already know there's no room for a conversation. You're not curious, you mad. You're not curious, you're triggered. You're not interested, you're pissed. Why would I engage in a conversation who's literally just having a knee-jerk reaction? Oh man, yeah, not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. But I will troll you with my bot to boost the algorithm because I'm not gonna waste an opportunity. I'm kind of detached like that. That's not even the word I wanted. You get it. You get it. All right, listen, we got a super chat. And last week I said I wasn't going to read them to the end, but I feel like I'm in a flow, so I'm going to read this one as we're going. Parable of Sower. Oh, thank you. $9.99. Good faith. I love it. Thank you so much for your support there. I can't wait till we can get this stuff back on the screens, man, so that everybody can see this. But that's absolutely beautiful. And again, for everybody who's supporting the work that we do here, I 100% appreciate you. There are more than one ways to support. You can do super chats, stickers, and Patreon. All right, back to regularly scheduled programming. So coming to the conversation with curiosity, not just contempt. Am I curious? Am I deeply curious of why Darante would feel this way? And if you are, I have literal hour-long videos out there of me talking about why I feel the way that I feel. If you were truly curious, your curiosity would lead you to those videos. So this is how I can catch that really quick. If you were truly curious, you'd follow the path of the scout. Oh no, but because you're here for conflict, you're following the path of the soldier. And I'm uninterested in battles. Oh man, this is good. This is good. My first donation to a Sunday service in 10 years. Wow, that is beautiful. Last one was to an in real life atheist church. I love that. Thank you, Muttley, for dropping the Patreon in there. That is beautiful. All right, so, and another green flag of good faith is a person can say, I don't know, or admit that they're unsure. Like that takes some real humility, right? That takes some, here's one of my favorite words, and you're likely going to hear this word, hear this phrase a lot throughout this series, and that's intellectual honesty and intellectual humility. And see, I think one of the greatest threats to intellectual honesty is the lack of intellectual humility. Oh, I think I'm gonna say that again. I think one of the greatest threats to intellectual honesty is the lack of intellectual humility. So I dropped in on a live yesterday that Ember was having where they were reviewing a debate that Christopher Hitchens had with Al Sharpton. And I was like, what? Who did this? But anyway, so I was watching bits and pieces of it, and they got into a conversation about whether or not, because Dr. Jay Bundy has a stance, he was in the chat, and Ember brought it up, that it's impossible to honestly defend a dishonest position, or it's impossible to honestly defend an untrue position. And it got some really good conversation because there's some philosophical nuances to that. But when I thought about it, I thought, ooh, wait a minute. And this is tying into that intellectual humility thing, is right. You may sincerely believe that what you believe is true, but at no point are you disconnected from knowing that you haven't done the necessary research to make the assertion. So now if you say, I believe and I don't have good reason, then sure, you could be honest. But if you are believing and asserting that this is true, and asserting that you know it's true and that other people should follow it, at this moment, your lack of intellectual humility, which means you've given yourself permission to know stuff that you haven't even actually tried to know. Your lack of intellectual humility has platformed your lack of intellectual honesty. Oh, man. Okay. All right. So those green flags, let's talk about some red flags. 68 people, man. Y'all are beautiful. Make sure y'all hit that poll and let us know if this is your first time or not. And drop some fire in this chat if you're feeling this conversation. I hope that this is helpful for somebody. All right, let's talk about some red flags of bad faith. All right. You're probably dealing with bad faith. Man, yes. You're probably dealing with bad faith when someone constantly moves the goalpost. It's like, okay, hold on. What were we talking about now? What were we talking about? What was this conversation about? All right. If you're engaged in a disagreement with somebody and you've jumped 10 subjects without resolving none of them anymore, you're playing tag at this moment. You know what I'm saying? Like at this moment, you're just jumping in and out of the ring. You're not. See, here it is. What's important is for all of us is to be able to recognize when you're actually no longer having a conversation. You know what I'm saying? You just have to be in the moment and be willing to engage it, be willing to stay aware, and to be constantly asking yourself with every back and forth, with every question, with every statement, all right, is this, intellectual parkour, I love that. Is this a conversation or has this transitioned to something else? And if this is transitioned to something else, this is something I've been doing since I was like 15 years old, y'all. No lie. I started doing it with grown folk in church because they were pissing me off. But I started knowing how to recognize when this conversation is no longer productive. I was 15 years old. My homie was standing beside me, and I had to stop in the middle of the conversation and say, hey, this conversation is fruitless. It's not going anywhere, so I'm going to leave. And that's what I did. Man, I love this. We got another super chat from Whistling Susie, $5. As a lifetime atheist, at times I feel out of place in atheist spaces because most are deconstruction based. Any thoughts and advice on this? Yes, the best advice I can give you, and I'm gonna look into the main camera for this, is stay connected here. Stay connected to this community. Stay connected to this channel, this content. We are one of the most different spaces out here because we're not just focused on people on letting go. We're focused on getting up. We're focused on helping people find life, find better ways to connect. What's the use of taking away people's way to connect with the world without giving them some type of safe space to figure out what they want to do next without doctrine, dogma, or deities? And that's kind of what we exist for. So please stay connected. Join our Discord, join our email list, join our Patreon. If you got 99 problems and money ain't one, do whatever and stay connected. Stay connected. Most importantly, join that email list because it's about to be on and popping. You know, forgive me for bragging, but I'm not a Christian, so I don't have to play false humble. So forgive me for bragging. Sorry, not sorry, but our organization is less than a year old. Bridge City, less than a year old, baby. We started our first Sunday sessions, March 31st, 2024, which was Easter Sunday. Our first Sunday, less than a year, we have grown from 52 to over 16,000 subscribers across the globe. So Whistling Susie, stay connected. You in the right place. I sound like a preacher now, right? I sound like a preacher now. You want to stay where the hand of the Lord is. The hand of God is over me. You want to stay connected. You know, I'm bullshitting, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Oh man. All right, so they're moving the goalpost. That's a bad flag. That's a red flag of bad faith. And let me tell you why. At that moment, you're not trying for a resolution. Remember, when we were looking into the definitions or looking at our definition of good faith, one of those things is, if I'm engaging this conversation, especially if it's a disagreement, you know, if it's not to engage and if it's not to be curious, it at least has to be to resolve. Right. And so if you point out one thing and then when it gets uncomfortable, you move on to another thing, then you're not actually looking to resolve that situation. You're not actually looking to resolve that conversation. You're actually, here it is, you're trying to rope-a-dope. At that moment, you're trying to wear your opponent out. You're trying to tire them down to eventually they get so frustrated where they either escalate the conversation or they get so frustrated that they retreat. And either way, you get out of the conversation, which is another way that we understand that when people are dealing in bad faith, it doesn't always mean they're a bad person. Sometimes it could. I don't know. Actually, I don't even like that ideology of bad people. We'll have to, oh, damn, I'm going to have to put a series on the calendar for 2026, good people, bad people. We're going to have that conversation. Maybe we'll call it good cop, bad cop. I don't know. Damn. Ooh, I like that. That has some connotations to it. And I'm in my Run DMC fit today too. So yeah. All right. So we're back. Moving the goalpost, right? Nope, let's resolve. And which that just becomes conversational therapy, period. It doesn't always have to be conflict that we're dealing with this type of stuff in. Conversational therapy, period, where you're having a conversation at work. Let me get clear on what the goal is. You know, let me get clear on what's being asked of me. Here's the goal. Do we have a resolve here? I'm telling you, this will help. All right. Yes, no such thing as bad people, just bad ideas. Something like that. Absolutely. Man, I love this. I love the conversation that y'all are having in the chat, man. Please engage this community because, man, this is where greatness happens. All right. Another one is refuses to answer direct questions. Refuses to answer direct questions. All right, ladies, let me tell you something. Ladies, and well, you know, everybody with the partner. Now, I say ladies because, you know, I grew up in the South and this was just this thing. And it's been such a thing that comedians have made a meme out of it, of black men when they get caught cheating. You know what I'm saying? And because of the way that I've grown up, I've been privy to many of these conversations myself, you know, and it's just like somebody come out there, Kenneth Thurl, who is Becky? You know, and if the first thing that come out of Kenneth Thurl's mouth, who? Huh? What? See, these are red flags that this person is likely not dealing in bad faith, in good faith. They're likely not dealing in good faith. This is a bad faith red flag right there. Don't you treat that like Six Flags. This is now it could be they are hard of hearing. It could be, they got some issues, or whatever. But 9 times out of 10, no, this person is trying to avoid the question. So avoiding answering very direct questions, no, answer the question now, and again, these aren't moments. Please don't use this. Okay. Oh, here we go. Please don't use this to be in a conversation with somebody and be like, see, you're dealing in bad faith, and then continue the conversation, because at that moment, you're dealing in bad faith. If you recognize, see, this is how we do it here. This is how we do it. This is what I love about being able to have conversations beyond the bullshit, right? This is what I love. The truth of the matter is, once you identify and confirm, once you identify and verify that this other person is dealing in bad faith, once you know that, once you know better, come on now, y'all know it. Once you know better, what? Do better, right? So if you know this person isn't dealing in bad faith, isn't dealing in good faith, I know that they're dealing in bad faith, I've verified that they're dealing in bad faith, why would I continue the conversation? The moment I continue the conversation, I already know this conversation no longer has the prerequisite of good faith in it. And the fact that I now have verified that they don't have that good faith, I'm outside of good faith too. Oh, man. So we got no. So the best thing to do, the safest thing to do, is to retreat. I hate to say it that way because it makes it scary, makes it sound like you're scared, but that's not really the thing. It's just like, no, this isn't. I'm a pragmatist, and please take my advice with a grain of salt, right? I'm a pragmatist. If something has no utility for me, I don't want to continue doing it. So the moment a conversation no longer serves me, I am uninterested. Now, I'm a little extreme with that, right? But that's how I am. All right. Another thing, if they're misrepresenting your position on purpose, right? All right. So this is easy. This one is easy for me to spot on stuff like social media, people misrepresenting your position on purpose. How do I know when someone in my comments is misrepresenting my position on purpose? Okay. When they're responding to one video that they've seen and they're representing my position, you don't know enough about me to be able to properly represent my position. And so it goes back to that relationship I mentioned earlier with intellectual humility. You didn't have the intellectual humility, which would lead to the curiosity, which would lead you to go check out other videos to say, let me figure this out. And then that would lead you to come back and say, now let me ask these very specific questions. So one easy way to identify when someone is misrepresenting your position on purpose is when they didn't do the prerequisites to actually know your position. Damn, that's good. All right. Okay. All right. Another one engages in personal attacks or gaslighting. All right. The conversation is over at that moment. You already know it. Like, at that moment, the moment the conversations has crossed over into personal attacks or gaslighting, you likely missed several red flags prior. You had several exits where you could have got off prior to that moment. Several moments, questions in good faith. Yes, you had several moments to exit. And did not, right? Once it gets to personal attacks, it doesn't have to go there. It doesn't have to get there. This is a place, and we'll talk about this throughout this series about emotional regulation, because that's what this conversation is about. It's about protecting your own peace of mind, your own sense of self. So it's not just about recognizing when they are in bad faith. It's also about keeping us always in good faith, Another red flag only speaks to the win or to perform, not to learn or engage. So it's who's right, who's wrong. Not how can we improve, not how can we be better, not now what do we understand. Not, oh, I'm glad I learned that. And this is something we all have to wrestle with. If you've gotten to the place where you're uncomfortable being wrong, you're likely gonna run the risk of struggling with being in bad faith. It takes a lot of comfort. Here it is. It takes a lot of intellectual humility to actually operate in good faith, to be able to say, no, there's some things that I may not know, right? Also, derailing the conversations with distractions or false equivalences. Now, let's talk about why this matters. So disagreements in good faith can lead to growth, mutual understanding, and even reconciliation. But arguments in bad faith, they only waste time, they damage relationships, and they feed polarization. So the first step in any tough conversation isn't always what you say. It's checking who you're talking to. Oh my goodness. If we was in church, the band would have had to play a chord right there because that was so cold-blooded. Like we'd be playing Jaws music or Game of Thrones music right now. Sometimes it's not what you say, y'all. It's not even how you say it. It's who you're talking to. This is why, like, y'all are going to hear me stress this. This is why we started this conversation with good faith, because good faith is the prerequisite. If a good conversation is the class, then good faith is the prerequisite. It's the prerequisite. It's checking who you're talking to. Yes. And it's trying to determine whether they're actually showing up in good faith. Are you here in curiosity or contempt? Are you here to discover or to defend? And just for some quick tests to recognize if you're speaking in good faith, before jumping into a tough convo, ask yourself, am I trying to understand or am I trying to win? Am I open to changing my mind? And that's a valid question. That answer does not always have to be yes, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like we all think like, oh my goodness. You have to get safe enough to be honest with yourself. All right? So when you ask these questions, am I trying to win? You have to be honest with yourself and say, you know what? I am. Because if you don't have that type of safety, if you don't have that type of comfort, number one, if you can't be honest with yourself, you're going to lie to everybody in your life. So you're not going to feel comfortable with anybody else if you can't feel safe with yourself. So you got to be able to say, am I just trying to win? Is that what I want out of this? And if that's what I want out of this, let me be honest enough with myself and let me be fair enough with the other person to let them know. Like, you know what? I'm not even in this conversation anymore. This is a competition at this moment. I just want to win. Because at that moment, they should have the right to bow out if that's not what they signed up for. See, man, we're talking about civility at this moment. We're talking about diplomacy, Oh, this is good. All right. So, and then ask yourself, am I willing to change my mind? And feel safe enough to be honest with yourself about that answer. Because I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. There are certain things that without good evidence or good reason, I am absolutely not open to changing my mind about. The reason has to show up before I would even be willing to entertain the evidence. You hear the reason, because that's what I corrected in my deconversion. That's what I corrected. What I corrected is that, Darante, you attached yourself to things as evidence because your approach wasn't based in reason. And so, oh, damn, this is good. And so because my approach wasn't based in reason, if I'm not grounded in reason, then what exactly determines what evidence is? And so then evidence can be, I was sitting in church, and when the pastor said somebody needs to sow a seed and God is going to turn your financial situation around, if I felt something tingling on my body, and that just could have been the air conditioner coming on, I'm going to take that as evidence that this is God, when I don't even have good reason to believe that that's how that even works in the first place. So no, there are certain things, oh my goodness, there are certain things I am not willing, I'm not open to change my mind about now, not without the reason and the evidence. And you have to introduce me to the reason first. All right. So if you say, well, Darante, I really, really want you to believe in God, and I got some evidence. I'm not interested in your evidence until you can give me a good reason to attach my belief to this belief in God. Because at that moment, not only are you going to have to reconcile 38 years of this God's absence, you're also going to have to reconcile nearly 200,000 years of the development of Homo sapiens, much of which has been horrendous, murderous, and absolutely just vile. Human history has been a bitch. I'm just saying. I know some of you got sensitive ears. I apologize. Not really. Sorry. Not sorry. It is what it is. But like, you'd have to reconcile a whole lot. So I need the reason first. And you're going to have a hard time getting there. Now, some of you say, now that's too far. That's too far. You shouldn't be that way. But I promise you, you're the same way with Smurfs. I promise you right now, if someone came to you and wanted to have a conversation with you about how Papa Smurf is really out there right now, gathering up all the little Smurfs and the one Smurfette, and they're protecting the world against Gargamel right now, and we should be helping them. And that's going to be a conversation that you are absolutely not willing to change your mind about. So you have to be willing. Yes, give me the reason first, and then I'll give you the time to look at your measurements. That's it. Yeah, I got to put that thing in order, So now, oh man, I love it. So now, because I already know that, I'm not going to engage that conversation, not outside of spectacle, Not outside of spectacle. This is why when you do see me on the line, which by the way, I'll be on there tonight with Forrest Valcott, but when you do see me on the line, I typically go for the jugular. I'm going straight for the jugular. I'm going straight for why it doesn't make sense and why you don't know. Because honestly, at that moment, I'm just going to be honest. This isn't a good faith conversation. I already know what you don't know. All right. God damn it. God damn it. You can take the preacher out of the church, but All right, so Gargamel would have crushed the Smurfs without Azrael getting in his way. That's for damn sure, y'all. See, this is why I love Sunday sessions. Is this community not the greatest place in the world, man? Y'all just wait. Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. We went from 52 to 16,000 in year one. Y'all just wait to year two. And we're celebrating, we're claiming this whole season from this to Easter. We're claiming this whole season as our Keep Rising season, and we're going to do this every year, which means this year is Keep Rising 1. This is Keep Rising season 1. Somebody going to catch it. You're slow, but you're worth waiting on. Wait a minute. This season is Keep Rising season 1. This is, oh shit. You're slow, but you're worth waiting on. Somebody going to catch it. This is Keep Rising season 1. So I just want to welcome everybody. Next week, we will be officially welcoming everybody into KRS1. Somebody better make it. Hey, all right. No. So it's just beautiful, man. I love this community. All right. So the questions become, am I here to seek clarity or just vent frustration? And the thing is, the more used to good faith conversation and good faith engagements we get to, These aren't always, so like I said, recognizing when something is happening in bad faith, let's be very careful not to use that as a character qualifier at that moment, and just recognize this is a conversation qualifier at this moment. This conversation isn't going to lead to anywhere productive. So there are a few options in that conversation that we can take. And this question is a perfect place. If I'm having a conversation with somebody who I know wants to deal with me in good faith, and when I ask myself, am I engaging to clarify, or am I engaging to vent my frustration? If my answer is, I actually don't want to clarify, I don't care what they think right now, I want to vent my frustration. Now, that could mean a lot of things. One of those things, it could mean you childish as hell. It could. But it could also mean that frustration has built up so much and for so long that it's literally a block. It's an emotional block for you. And you're not going to be able to have a healthy conversation until you vent that frustration. Now, if you come back and that's your answer, then that gives you space to communicate that to the other person. Now, I'm not a psychic, so I don't know how they're going to take that. And you don't either. But if you give yourself that safety, you have to start creating the space in your life that I only really want to be in close proximity with safe people. And so I need the safety to be able to admit to you in a conversation that, hey, at this moment, I really just want to vent my frustrations. You know, I know what you're saying is probably really important. And I know you probably really tied into what you're saying right now, but I'm gonna be honest. I am so frustrated right now that I cannot hear a word you're saying, you know. And as we can build that, then we can create that space where we can help each other process. Because at that moment, what we immediately know is that this part of the conversation then has to end, right? A conversation to get clarity on this, that's not happening right now until you get past that frustration. And a person who's engaging in good faith on the other side should be wise enough to know that. Because you were vulnerable enough to say, this is not the moment. And so at that moment, then, if that person's a real G, if that person's a real one, they're going to say, okay, then let's pause, vent, let's go. But now that's a whole, like, damn, I'm mad I went this way now, because there's so much to unpack there. Because what I realize is one of the greatest problems with humans in disagreement is that we stop giving other humans the right to be humans. We want other people to give us grace for our human reactions, but then we want to villainize other humans for their human reactions. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, that's good. That's good. Let me see over here. I can't see it. There it is. Man. All right, we got another super chat. What can we do about our residual belief? Milk Mommy for $2. Thank you, Milk Mommy. That is absolutely beautiful. What we can do, I love these type of questions, because these type of questions are easy for me, because that's kind of the work that I'm committed to. And that is, you connect to community like this. You connect to content like this. You meet other people in the community who are wrestling with those same things. You have more conversations, and you begin to move little by little. Just to kind of interject here, for me, my process was realizing that I wasn't superstitious because of religion. I accepted religion because I was already superstitious, right? And so what I began to realize is that religion is not the only place we have superstitions at. People still have, pretty much anytime you say something should happen and you have no reason to say that, you're pulling that from a place of superstition. This is just something I believe that should happen because I really want it to happen. And so we actually have a lot of residual beliefs. We actually have a lot of residual superstitions. And if y'all lean in real close, I'll tell you why. It's because we're lazy, you know, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's true. Laziness has been the greatest driver of innovation. you know, in a sense. Trying to find a way to do less to get more has been the greatest driver of innovation. And so we lean into shortcuts. We lean into the quickest way to know something. Many times without asking ourselves, do I even have the right to know this? Have I done the work to know this? Which is one of those things I believed in that God loved everybody, but when I was a pastor, I would not speak out for gay people, like at all. Like, I'd protect them if somebody was trying to defend them on one-off situations or do something against them, but I wouldn't speak up for them. And I realized that the reason I didn't is because I believed that it was a sin, and I believed that it was naturally wrong. And so because of all of these beliefs, I wouldn't platform their lifestyle in the same way that I had platformed other sinners in my church. You know what I'm saying? Damn. Oh, man. Thank you, Lee B. Welcome to Progressive Survival. We got another YouTube member. That is absolutely beautiful. And so in the midst of that, what I begin to challenge myself in is that I'm no longer going to allow myself to have an opinion about something that I don't care enough about to actually do the research. Why do I even have an opinion? Why? Thank you. I am Batman. Welcome to Progressive Survival. We in here. We're making progress, y'all. We're making progress. All right. So back to it. Let me get on here. All right. So if the answer is understand and yes and seek clarity, that's when you're showing up in good faith. And that's where real conversations actually begin. Now, the problem with conflict is that we often see conflict as a problem. I want to say that again. The problem with conflict is that we often see conflict as a problem. We see conflict and we immediately think something's wrong. We see conflict and we think, this won't work. We see conflict and we think they're going to sabotage everything. I thought they wanted to be on the team. I thought they liked me. We see conflict and we immediately go red alert because we see conflict as the problem. And that is a part of our relational superstitions, much of which has been groomed by the media of which we've programmed ourselves with, you know? And so you begin to separate yourself from the reality that friction is a byproduct of engagement. You know what I'm saying? And so if you're going to see yourself, if you're going to be able to engage the world, you're going to have to see conflict as a part of the process. You're going to have to see disagreements as a part of the process. You're going to have to see differences as a part of the process. It's going to have to stop shocking you that people have different thoughts than you. It's going to have to stop shocking you that people have different priorities than you. It's going to have to stop shocking you that sometimes people prioritize things differently than you. It's going to have to stop shocking you that sometimes people will preference their priorities over you. At some point, this shit got to stop being shocking. At some point, we have to start looking at it, all right? And so we can no longer see, or at least we have to stop seeing conflict as the problem. Conflict, yes, can be problematic, but conflict can also be, and I'm reclaiming this word, opportunistic. I can pull opportunities out of conflict too. Conflict is always revealing. Conflict is always revealing. I used to run from certain conversations because I was afraid of what they'd reveal, you know? And I realized it wasn't that I was afraid what the conversation would reveal. I was afraid with what that would mean about the person if it went that way. And so guess what I started doing? I started protecting myself, from opportunities of seeing people how they really were. So, this is good. Is this good? I'm off script, y'all. I'm off script. But to keep from seeing people as who they really were, I would avoid conflict, because in my mind, I'd have that thought, oh, if this gets too tense, they're going to do this, or they're going to act this way, or they're going to say this. And it's like, I don't want to see that. And so because I don't want to see that, I'm going to avoid ever seeing this. And I'm like, whoa, that's not healthy. No. If this person is a certifiable jackass, I want to know. I want to know now. I want to know when it doesn't cost me. I don't want to know when it's late in the midnight hour. I need to know now. If this person is going to be flaky, if this person really doesn't like me, I'm ready to have the conflict now to see who you're going to be on the other side of this. This is good. All right. So, So this is incredibly powerful for shaping good faith conversations, because it challenges the default mindset that disagreement is dangerous. It challenges the default mindset that disagreement is harmful or something to avoid. So I want to share how it can be used to reframe and reshape conflict into something constructive and rooted in good faith. So first, it shifts our mindset from combat to curiosity. If we see conflict as a problem, we enter the conversation on defense, right? If we see the conflict itself as a problem, if conflict is a problem, oh, this is another conflict. If conflict is a problem, you're not going to enter the conversation with curiosity. You're going to enter the conversation combative. Your mindset is going to be, I have to protect myself. I have to prove that I'm right. Your mindset is going to be, I have to win, right? But if we see conflict as natural, even valuable, as a valuable part of human interaction, we approach it with, what can I learn from this, right? And I mean, if you think about that, like, what's wrong with taking that as the default position? To say in every conversation, okay, what can I learn from this? So what can I learn from this? What are they really trying to say? Because believe it or not, you don't always hear what people are really trying to say the first time around. And so it's really good habit to, when you hear somebody say something, that you repeat their words to yourself to make sure that you hear their question in your voice. Okay? Because I'm going to tell you what often happens when we get in arguments, when we get in conversations. You start filtering everything they're saying into your words. Oh, man. All right. So we start filtering everything the other person is saying through our words when our emotions have jumped in that driver's seat. And so they may have said one sentence, but you're going to hear a sentence that is likely a little more inflammatory, a sentence that is likely a little more implicative of some things, implicatory, And so what you want to do to kind of cut that off is ask those questions in their words to yourself. Have that internal conversation, and then repeat back your understanding of the question. Now, some people say, repeat back what you heard. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Nope. Repeat back what you now understand after processing, because that now lets them know if there is a disconnect. If you just repeat back their words, of course, like, well, you just said what I said. But if you actually said those words to yourself and asked yourself that question as if you was asking yourself, we're talking about good faith, man. We're talking about good faith, and actually ask yourself that question in your own words so you know you can hear it in your own voice and you processed it, then you could have that answer, And then you say, okay, now this is what I heard you say, but this is how I understand that question. And then that person can say, oh, yeah, that's not what I was trying to ask at all, or that's exactly what I was trying to ask. And in that, you're both bringing something to the table. What am I trying to learn? You get to ask questions like, how did we come to see this so differently? This shifts us this shift moves us towards good faith. It encourages emotional regulation. See, when we view conflict as inherently bad, our nervous system reacts with, you already know, fight, flight, or freeze. All right? That system immediately goes in there. That nervous system gets in there. Fight, flight, or freeze. Yes, that is so good. There is a tendency to take what is said and add our own meaning, then think that is what is being said. Man, oh, this is good stuff. I love it. Oh, I love this community. I love these conversations. We're not just gonna get better together. We're gonna build bridges to better together. You know what I'm saying? Like our kids, y'all, don't get me started. Don't get me talking about vision, y'all. Y'all know how it goes. All right, so our nervous system, it reacts with these things: fight, flight, and freeze. But if conflict can be seen as an opportunity, not a threat, which that requires a healthy view of ourselves and a healthy view of the people we're engaging, which is why I say that good faith is a requirement. Oh, I like the fornicate. Ooh. We can regulate emotions more easily and stay grounded, which leads us to ask better questions and actually listen. And emotional regulation is essential for staying in good faith. Now, it's a hard question to ask, right? It's a hard question to ask yourself and be honest with, but to ask yourself in a conversation, am I emotionally regulated enough in this moment to continue this conversation in good faith? I'd like to think that I'm good enough to answer that one, but my intellectual humility gives me a little pause. But that's a hard one. But but that's why you do want to build, which is because again, we open up in the introduction that many times good faith conversations is not just about what you say; it's about who you're talking to. So what I really want us to start to be able to take from some of this is make sure that you're building a life that's safe for you so that you can have these type of conversations. In the series after Happy Little Accidents, we're going into a series of conversations called Mastermind That Ish. And that's what we're going to be talking about, how to make your life what you need it to be for you. That's going to be a whole conversation. All right, so let's jump. It normalizes disagreements, right? Disagreements aren't the sign that something is broken. They're often the sign that people care enough to speak up. All right. And this is one thing that I've been pretty vocal about, that I'll be even more vocal about. This is one of the reasons why I don't like what superstition has done to many communities. But there are many people who are out there living silenced lives because they think it's the right thing to do. Oh man. I got to say it again. There are many people out there who are living silenced lives because they feel like it's the right thing to do. Now, part of this traces back to, I don't want to say bad parenting, but we'll just say flawed parenting, right? In the sense where parents disciplined their children not for doing something wrong, but because you was aggravated, you was annoyed, you was irritated, all right? And so if you grew up under that type of parenting, then many times you will put yourself in a situation where you think your biggest way of respecting anybody is to not be aggravating, is to not be annoying, is to not be an inconvenience. Is this good? Generational dysfunction. Yes. Yes. And so then speaking up to you becomes offensive. And that goes back to something that we were talking about earlier, because partly you already know or believe you know, because don't we give ourselves permission to be psychic? You already believe you know how people are going to respond. And we talked about this last week. Yes, we did. You already believe you know how people are going to respond, because trauma reshapes our memories, and our memories doesn't just impact what we believe about yesterday. Our memories shape how we approach and engage today. And so if I have that, thank you for that, generational dysfunction, that tells me that anytime I let people know how I feel, it offends somebody. That anytime I let somebody know that, hey, I didn't like that, people get upset, then what you will start doing is you will start muting your own words. You know what I'm saying? You will start silencing yourself. You will start closing yourself down. Why? This is good. Oh man, this is good. Yes. Because you don't want to be the inconvenience. You don't want to be the reason that somebody else is upset. And if this sets anybody free, them being upset is on them. There it is. Everybody is responsible for their own emotional regulation. All right. And that's, So we're destroying our own self-regulation. You see that? Trying to regulate the emotions of others. You see that? So I'm trying to make sure you don't be a jackass, so I don't say the stuff that I need to say. And so I'm sitting here with all of this toxicity trying to keep you from being a jackass. Does anybody see why that doesn't work? Can anybody see why that's not healthy? Oh, goodness. Oh, this is good. Oh, this is good. Yeah. So no, I can't regulate how you're going to respond. How you're going to respond is up to you. If you're aggravated by me saying this, that's a you problem, not a me problem. And if you can't oh my goodness. And if you can't appreciate my conversations, then that's another conversation. Is this good? Oh my goodness. All right. Let's get healed together. That's the purpose. That's the purpose of what we do here. Man, is to help people find a better way to connect. All right. So again, disagreements aren't the sign that something is broken. They're often a sign that people care enough to speak up. And I want you to find your freedom to care enough to speak up, to care enough about yourself, to speak up, to care enough about the people you're in relationship with, to speak up, to care enough about your relationships, to speak up, to realize that, nope, I cannot be in a relationship where I'm not safe enough to vent my frustrations. I got to be able to do that because you got to be able to do that with me. We got to create that safety. Oh, damn, this is good. All right. So this quote kind of reminds us that disagreement is not a threat. It's a chance to grow. When both people recognize that conflict is expected, not evil, it opens the door to empathy, creative solutions, and deeper connection. It helps us depersonalize the conflict. When we see conflict as a problem, we can often see the person as the problem. But when we shift the frame, we stop asking what's wrong with them and start asking what's underneath this disagreement. That depersonalization is key to staying grounded in good faith. The bottom line here is that conflict isn't the enemy. Disconnection is. This quote helps us stop treating disagreement like a failure and start treating it like a doorway. That's what good faith conversations are all about. Curiosity instead of combat, understanding instead of dominance, and growth instead of ego. Setting the stage and reducing anxiety around the conflict from the very onset. And this is so key. This is so key, right? It is absolutely okay to be able to kind of know that there's a high probability that a conversation is going to escalate long before it gets there. You don't have to wait till the conversation gets to the tipping point. No, you can from the very beginning, and that's why we're having these conversations. From the very beginning, you can set those safeguards. You can set those boundaries. But again, this comes back to that humility and that honesty, that vulnerability, where you can say, look, this conversation is going to push me a little bit. This conversation, you might get some emotional reactions out of me. And you have to be like, you have to create, you check your circle. You got to create a circle around you that you can breathe, you know? Oh, this is good. This is good. All right. So another thing that I want to hit in today's conversation, man, this is beautiful. We have over 70 people watching right now. I love this. All right. I want to talk about this thing that I'm starting to call the echo chamber fallacy versus the good faith standard. Okay. Okay. So this fallacy is when someone accuses you of creating an echo chamber just because you refuse to engage with disruptive behavior, dishonest arguments, and deliberate provocation, you know? And these are typically trolls or what we'll call as bad faith participants. But here's the truth. Refusing to entertain bad faith is not the same as avoiding challenge. All right? I got to say it again. Refusing to entertain bad faith is not the same as avoiding challenge. One of these things is not like the other. One of the, no, refusing to disengage, refusing to not engage bad faith is healthy for you. That is not avoiding challenge. It's choosing quality over chaos. In healthy dialogue, we don't need to agree, but we do need to agree on how we're disagreeing. We do need to agree on how we're treating each other. And most importantly, we need to agree that this is a good faith conversation, right? So good faith is the prerequisite, not the luxury. It's the prerequisite. The conversation doesn't exist for me if we don't have good faith. Why are we talking? It's a waste of my time. As a person who spent, nearly 2 decades preaching stuff that wasn't true, saying stuff that wasn't helping, saying stuff that wasn't working, I've become really guarded with my words now. Like, I only want to say stuff that works. I only want to say stuff that helps. And so many times when people want to argue with me, I'm just like full Kyle Barker mode. Why? Why would I waste my time? Why would I entertain this? Why would I want to do that? Somebody wanted me to come and debate them on a large platform, probably would have got me some notoriety and probably would have pushed my channel a little before. But I said, why would I waste my words in such a way? I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know. This is good. This is good, man. All right. So good faith is the prerequisite, not the luxury. That's the starting place. Nope. Good faith. Good faith means you're here to understand, not just to win, and you care about the truth, not just about being right. You listen and respond, not just react. Sometimes, and in most cases, if you know each other well enough, conversations should happen fast, sure. But in most cases, if you're in a conversation and it's a disagreement, and it's back to back to back to back to back to back to back, spoiler alert, you're not listening to each other. Your brain can process a whole ton of information in a small amount of time. You cannot. You're not there yet. You're not there yet. But, so, it is a red flag in a conversation if you notice that both of you are back to back to back to back to back. You're not listening to each other at that moment. You're not actually processing to what each other is saying anymore. You're not responding to information. You're reacting to emotions. You're reacting to how you feel about the information you heard without actually allowing yourself to process and verify your understanding of what's being communicated. So a lot of times we like to oversimplify communication into it's just the words that the other person is saying. Can we be honest? Can we be real and say we're deeper than that now? No, we create music. We create sonnets. We write plays. We create movies. We design infrastructure. We create architecture. We're deeper than that. So no, communication is not just words. It's not just language, right? It's a whole dance taking place. And if you're going to be on this dance floor with me and you're only going to pay attention to my words, how insulting. You know what I'm saying? No, like if I'm bringing all of this goodness to the dance floor, you need to pay attention to all of this. Watch my feet work. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can't see them, but you get it. Y'all just get a little shoulder action, you know, like little old folk, beach cruise, shoulder action, you know, out there trying to, old person. All right, so yeah. And of course, you can hold mutual dignity, even in disagreement. Without good faith, there is no conversation, just competition, you know? And I don't want to say that competition is inherently bad. It's just bad when you're not honest that that's what's happening. That's when it's bad. Being in a conversation for competition can be healthy as long as both parties know that that's what they're in the conversation for, and that one of them winning over the other doesn't create harm, you know? Now, in most places, the place for that is not deep emotional issues or deep relational issues or deep political issues. But you want to debate about pineapple pizza? Go for it. No, let me stop. But no, there's plenty of places for it. Yes, chair dancing. Oh, speaking of which, be very careful when you're just playing for the victim chair. Now, that's a very common thing. This one ain't in my notes. I'm off script. I'm off script a little bit. Oh, I love that. What is a criminal but a job for a cop? What is a cop but a job for a criminal? See, it's all related. It's all related. But be very careful. You get caught in that victim, the victim chair. And I see that happen in a lot of conversations. When I was a pastor, unfortunately, people would come to me to counsel their marriages. And eventually I realized these folks don't take their marriages seriously. Ain't no way they'd be coming to their local pastor for marriage counseling if they were really serious. They coming to me because I'm free. And that's why they never followed any of the advice, because they didn't take it seriously. And see, there are things you can learn if you just pay attention. And that's ultimately what we're talking about. Okay, so I don't know what rabbit trail I was about to take, so maybe that's a sign I should keep rolling on. All right, so a disagreement without good faith isn't dialogue, it's performance. Oh, that victim chair. The victim chair idea is when your motivation for being in the conversation is to prove that you have it worse. That's how many of y'all have seen that in arguments before? Where after a while, after listening, you begin to realize there is no winning in this argument, because what they're really arguing about is who has it worse. And it's like, all right, so let's just say you agree on a winner. What the hell did you actually win? Pity? Like, is that what you're out here fighting for? You just had a whole 3-hour argument for pity? Is that how you used your time? No, you gotta think that thing through. All right. So now I had to finish that rabbit trail, right? You know, I took us there. I was gonna kick myself when I come back to watch this. All right, and performance doesn't lead to growth in conversations. It leads to exhaustion. All right. Now, why this matters is because people who demand engagement while denying basic good faith aren't promoting free speech. They're disrupting healthy speech. They weaponize this ideology of the echo chamber as an accusation to distract people from their own toxic behavior, to force inclusion where boundaries are being set, or to equate access to a platform with the right to be heard. A space without boundaries isn't open, you know, it's broken. And so many times people with this approach will come and say, well, you don't want to talk to me, you just want an echo chamber. No, I don't want to talk to you because you're not entering this conversation in good faith, you know? And then honestly, I could talk about this all days. It travels from home to home, and many don't realize they're sick, but they can heal from it. Absolutely, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. Oh, man. All right. So, and again, I want to drive that point home. A space without boundaries isn't open. It's broken. All right. Many of our lives could benefit in retrospect from some good boundaries. Oh, man. This is good. All right. So let's talk about setting boundaries. All right. Setting boundaries does not have to mean silencing opposition. It's not an echo chamber to say you can disagree with me, but not in a way that disrespects the conversation. And notice I said not in a way that disrespects the conversation, not in a way that disrespects me. All right? Because if you're respecting the conversation, there'll be no need to disrespect me. So sometimes you will know, like if a person is being disrespectful to the conversation itself, they're already demonstrating you that they cross boundaries of respect. So it's not very likely that this person is going to remain respectable to you as a person in the conversation because they can't even respect the conversation. They're not there for respect. You know what I'm saying? Again, you can tune in tonight on the line to see me and Forrest, and I'm sure you're going to see some examples of this. All right? It's an echo chamber when you only allow agreement and never invite honest critique. If you punish respectful dissent or you mistake emotional comfort for intellectual honesty. And that's not what we're doing here. What we're talking about is setting a higher standard, and that standard is good faith. Man, this is good. Whew. If someone refuses to come in good faith, they don't get access to the conversation. It's as simple as that. That's how I literally live my life. All right, you can get some insight to me. I am a highly emotional person. You probably wouldn't be able to tell. I mean, you've probably seen it on some of my videos. I think I've cried on like 2 of them, but I'm a highly emotional person. I'm also highly emotionally invested, which is why I don't attach the way other people attach, because I realize other people attach for play. Like, I grew up in a context where everybody call each other family, but don't nobody know how to be family. And so I don't like using words for no reason. We either gonna be family or we not. No, everybody is not gonna get to claim me as their cousin. The words mean something to me. And if we gonna be something, it's like, oh, we cousins, but when the last time I talked to you? What are we working on together? How are we helping each other survive? You know what I'm saying? Life ain't been no crystal stairs. So how is it that we both grew up in this reality, that we all grew up in this reality that life is hard, and knowing that as family, knowing that you're kind of born here with a team as a family, we're not doing anything to help each other. At that moment, we're not a family. And this probably explains the generational poverty, because we're not even using family for what family is supposed to be used for. Man, I'm sorry. No, if I'm going to call you family, that shit got to be real for me. That got to be real for me. What do we do for each other? How are we helping each other? What do I bring to your life? What do you bring to my life? When can I call you? What can I call you for? What can you call me for? Otherwise, what are we doing? Now, again, I'm extreme with some of this stuff. So I'm not suggesting anybody should necessarily walk the path that I walk, but that's damn sure how I am, man. That's damn sure how I am. No, we got to be doing something. Oh, man. So that's how we protect the integrity of the discussion. And as I said, you don't have to wait for people to disrespect you. You can pay attention to if they're respecting the conversation. If you're not respecting the conversation, I know you're not going to respect me, This is why, again, most of you know, I don't really engage theists. You don't respect my identity as an atheist. You know what I'm saying? No, in many cases, you will even accuse me of secretly believing in God and just hating him. No, you don't respect the conversation. You've already made several assumptions. You think you know me because you've heard other people talk about what atheists believe. And so you think that's a way to know what all atheists believe, which already lets me know that you have a shattered epistemology. And so what more do I need to know no, I'm not going to have a conversation with you. And I think y'all have heard me say it. I'll raise this alarm for as long as I need to. But I think that's in many ways contributed to the problem. We've promoted foolishness as being equivalent with reason. by putting it on the same platforms. Like, no, because that's typically what debate is. Like, debate is these things that could be equally accepted. And in our day of loving sensationalism and polarization, we are taking things and putting them on the debate stage with legitimate science. We're taking things that are absolutely bullshit and putting them on the stage with legitimate science as if they should be. And then we're wondering why so many of our fucking kids are flat earthers. It's like, no, you did this. You told them these two things are equal. Like, no, there are plenty of things that are valid to debate. The earth being flat is not a valid conversation. There being a God who flooded the whole earth and destroyed a whole bunch of people and sent himself to impregnate a virgin and then died and then rose again and then was coming back the next day but didn't come back 2000. No, we shouldn't be having this conversation. This is not a valid conversation. And we shouldn't be platforming it as valid. You know, we should know the weaknesses of our species. And we know that many of our minds, until we fix global education, we need to understand that many of our minds are highly susceptible. And so people are taking those mental shortcuts everywhere they can get them. You know, we got to stop making that shit too easy. I'm sorry. Now back to regularly scheduled programming. I'm sorry. Like, I just had to hit that. All right. So, but again, this is how we protect the integrity of the discussion, the safety of the participants, and the possibility of real progress. You know, because listen, I'm not in any conversation to prove how smart I am. You know, I don't need to prove how smart I am to anybody. I need to prove it to me. You understand? How smart I am only matters to one person, me. All right? How smart I am can never really do anything for anybody else. It can inspire you. You know, maybe I'll invent something one day. Who knows? Y'all remember in the 80s and the 90s, they were all trying to get all the kids to be inventors and file patents and shit. You know, who knows? Maybe I got an invention out there. Maybe I'm the next Terrence Howard. Damn it, I couldn't resist. I'm going to leave that one alone. But, oh, man. I beat art hands too. Yeah, another weakness, right? That is hilarious. That is hilarious. Dang. But the goal is progress, right? That's the goal. The goal isn't to impress somebody with my oratory skills, with my performance, with my eloquence of speech, with my inflections and fluctuations and my characteresque presentations, but it's to actually create experiences around conversations that matter, so that we can begin to pull on that collective effervescence of community to actually build something that is sustainable and that makes a difference in the lives of people across the globe. You know, did I mention that we've grown from 52 to over 16,000 in a year? And in mentioning that, I know it's a shameless plug, but in mentioning that, I'm mentioning that to say those 16,000 aren't just in the United States. Baby, they're in Mexico. They're in Guatemala, they're in Haiti, they're in Jamaica, they're in Nigeria, they're in Uganda, they're in New Zealand, they're in the UK, like they're in Ireland, they're in Britain. You understand? Like, hell, they're in Japan, they're in Saudi Arabia. God damn it, they're in Russia. We are a global movement. And that's not happening. No. Hear me well. That's not happening because I'm so good at this. That's not what it is. That's not what it is. At some point, the message becomes much bigger than the man. So it's not that, because there are plenty of people, watch this, there are plenty of you, and tell the truth, shame the devil, especially those of you that are watching afterwards. There are plenty of you who cannot stand me. You don't like my glasses, especially the ones I got on now. I broke my other ones. It happens. You don't like my glasses. You don't like my hat. You can't stand my scruffy beard. And I had the nerve to put on a chain today. Don't worry, it's cheap. And I had the nerve to put on a chain today. You don't like me. I'm too urban sometimes. I'm too rough for some of my urban folk. I'm not urban enough. So there are certain people who don't even like me as a personality at all. They sit here and watch these videos having to stomach it because it's not me that they're identifying with. It's the message. They're saying, damn it, I don't like this motherfucker, but what he's saying is something that needs to be said and is something I resonate with. That's how you build a global movement. That's how you build something global. You know what? I'm going to take that as a dig. I'm going to take that as a dig. Oh, man. That's how you know you're building something that is bigger. People be watching me with the little thing over the camera just because they don't want to see me. So they just put the little thing over the screen. I don't want to look at him, but I like what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? I might have to turn his voice down a little bit because that baritone is doing something to me, but I like what he's saying. Damn it, he cussed way too motherfucking much, but I like what he's saying. He be snapping on motherfuckers in the comments like it ain't nothing, but damn, I like what he's saying. And that's the whole thing, is to build something where people don't say, well, oh, I've never seen a man like that. No, fuck that shit. We want them to say, I've never seen a movement like that. We want people to connect to the message, not the man, to connect to the movement, not the man, because you're doing this. Whoa, this is good. Man, I love this. Too hard for MTV, not black enough for BET. Just let me be. Yes. Oh my goodness. This is good. This is good, man. This is good. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Who cares? It's so much bigger. This is big, man. We're creating safe space. And see, damn it, I'm sorry, I'm a preacher, so I do this shit. But we're creating safe space. And right now, this is space for people who have deconstructed and space for people who've never been believers. And those people are coming in and they're finding community and they're finding friendships. They're finding new relationships. They're finding access to new ideas. They're finding opportunities. They're here. Man, I love it. Yes. But then watch this. The more we continue to grow, the more we continue to build this experience, the more we continue to add on it, the more we continue to find other people who link up in arms of partnership. It's not just going to be the people who've deconstructed and don't believe. There are 35% of people who attend American churches right now who only attend them because they have nowhere else to go on Sundays. And most of them are tolerating what they're hearing because they don't have a better alternative. But you just let them know Bridge City is coming, baby. And so that's how you win the war of attrition. Oh my goodness, this is good. This is so good. Oh my goodness, I love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all. Thank y'all to everybody who watch these, who likes these, who support these. Thank you to all of my patrons. Thank you to all of our YouTube members, everybody who be giving through Cash App, Venmo. Y'all have no idea. It's y'all that keeps this bridge building. It's y'all that keeps this fire burning. It is y'all who keeps this light shining. And we're going to shine together, God damn it. Oh, man, it was all a dream until we made that shit happen. You see what I'm saying? This is the remix, goddammit. Let's go. Let's go. So the big point here, we're supposed to be talking about echo chambers. Yes, Kenya is in the house. My goodness. Oh, yeah, we're coming. We're coming. Man, beautiful, man. So the big point here is there are easier ways to expose yourself to opposing views without subjecting yourself to abuse, humiliation, or shame, which is why I encourage Christians who are not deconstructing and who are still firm in their faith, don't come by here. That's a Kumbaya reference for those who don't know. Don't come by here. Go. This is going to disrupt you. This is going to disturb you. All right. If you come here and you're not questioning your faith, you're going to be pissed at anything I'm saying. Don't do that to yourself. Don't set yourself up for the okie doke. Because here it is. I'm so good with me. I know where I stand. So no matter how pissed off you are, I'm not going to change. Like, oh my goodness. Like, I'd be amazed. Like, oh, you really think something you said in the comments is going to make me be like, I was just playing, y'all. Jesus real. And he coming back soon. He'll be back in our... No, I'm not about to do that. No, don't. But, and honestly, just to be fair, I'm not saying that's the best way to be. That's a byproduct of my lived experience and my deconstruction. One of the commitments that I made to myself is that I'll never get tied up in bullshit again. I need the reason first, so I just, like, in the same way, I would not engage a conversation with somebody trying to convince me that Iron Man saved my life and brought me back from the blip, and I didn't even know it. I'm not about to engage a conversation with somebody about anybody else saving my life, you know? But that's not just with religious stuff either. I could say some stuff that'll piss you off about me right now. Ain't nobody saving my life but me. Oh, Jesus, this is good. Okay. All right. Y'all ready? All right. So this whole idea, this whole idea is that we're learning that we can use disagreement to be transformative for us if good faith is an anchor and our approach is an anchor, you know? Oh my goodness. The milk comes from space thing is making me laugh my behind off. All right. Huh. Iron Man, afraid of Iron Man. Oh, that is hilarious. All right. So let's talk about prioritizing productivity over polarization. So in today's world, especially when it comes to religion, politics, and identity, we've been conditioned to perform disagreement, not process it. And this should go on. Everybody needs to be slapping their hands right now. We've been taught to perform disagreement, not process it, right? So, and actually, I'll give an example. I'll get naked so you don't have to. I was married before, and that divorce was bitter. It was tumultuous. I had to fight for my boys in court. It was ugly. And I remember one time my former wife was doing something that was ugly, and I responded by yelling and cussing and calling her every damn name I could find to call. I told you there's a whole fool in here. I'm just letting you know. And in the middle of that, I had to sit with myself and realize, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I behaving this way? And watch this. When I'm processing this at this moment, it wasn't about what anybody else would have thought about me. I didn't give a fuck about that. No. It wasn't about what anybody else thought about me. It was me asking myself, like, bro, what do you get from this? After doing this, how do you feel about yourself? You know? And I had to think about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm not processing this. I'm performing this. I'm performing this because somehow I've attached myself to this belief if my kids don't see me as upset, if my kids don't see me going King Kong to fight for them, they're not going to believe that I fought for them. And I realized that I had this fear where I knew I didn't want them to think that daddy didn't want them and that daddy wasn't trying to be in their lives. And so I felt like I had to perform that disagreement. I had to perform what I was feeling so that they would know. And then I was like, oh, no. What you can do is you don't have to perform this. The performance is empty. You can process this and figure out how to navigate, which is what I did. Damn, is this good, man? Is this good? All right. So we have to learn how to start treating disagreement like a bridge instead of a battlefield. And it could either be a bridge for us to understand something about the other person, or it can be a bridge for something, or for us to understand about our relationship with the other person, or it can be a bridge for us to learn something about ourselves, you know? And I think in all three of those cases, that's a class worth taking. You know what I'm saying? If there's an opportunity that I can learn more about the person I'm in a relationship with, I want to take that class. If there's an opportunity to learn more about the relationship that I'm in in with that person, I want to take that class. And if there's an opportunity for me to learn something more about me, damn, as a person who loves me, oh my God, did I tell y'all I love me? This bro love himself. Almost slipped up and said something that probably would have got me canceled, but I love myself. I use words that some people don't use, but I can, But, I love myself. And so, no, damn, this is good. So the truth is that disagreements aren't problems to avoid. They're opportunities to build. The goal isn't always agreement. The goal is forward motion, And I know many of you, politics is on your minds. And yes, this applies. But I'd say, start closer than that. Start with the people in your household, the people in your, the people where you are, And that's what builds, that's just, it's help. Here it is. My goal with the Disagreement Therapy series is I want you to have, man, we got 80 people watching right now. This is beautiful. I want you to have as passionate of an existence as you possibly can. And I want every experience to be worth your time, Because I'd really hate for you to be wrecking your mental health over something that's not even worth your time. And that's why we couldn't even get into this series of conversations without starting with good faith. It's not the cherry on the top. It's the prerequisite. Can't even come in the door without good faith. Because you don't owe anybody your mental health. You know what I'm saying? No. Like, I'm not about to wrestle with you about something that you're not willing to change about. And nor am I going to set you up for failure that way. I'm not going to set you up to wrestle with me about something that I know I'm not about to change about. And again, that's a part of that is getting safe enough in yourself to just be you. And not feel like you owe somebody else's your vicarious existence. Oh, well, they're not going to like it if I be that way. They not you. Just real, they not you, Hey, player, they not you, right? And so you don't owe them that. Well, if I was you, I would have that conversation. Well, you go have that conversation. I've gotten to a place in my life where I feel safe enough to admit that I'm not even interested in that conversation, Because a lot of spaces that I'm seeing, if we're not careful, you're creating spaces where you're forcing people to feel obligated to be assaulted by people. And there's no use of that. There's no utility in that. Well, all right, so this is good. This is good. Man, that's it. Doesn't impact our daily lives, but we're arguing about it. So that's why we prioritize productivity over polarization, So let's talk about what this looks like in practice. We don't argue just to win. We talk to grow. Is there a growing opportunity in this? If I value the relationship, fuck winning. The only winning is winning together. If I value the relationship, I'm not trying to win against you. I'm trying to win with you, right? No. If we value the relationship, are we arguing just to win? Or are we talking to grow? No, we're going to win together. I'm going to win with you. I'm not in this conversation to prove that I'm better than you. Like, no. We used to have a saying in our house, what was it? My goal is never to be better than, just to be better for. I want to be better for the people that I'm in relationships with, not better than. No, I don't want to be better than anybody. I don't even know how to measure that shit, but I do want to be better for the people that I'm in relationships with. Now, I want to be better. God damn, this is good. So again, we don't argue just to win. We talk to grow. We don't escalate. We excavate. You know, why build up when you can dig deep? All right. So, and that's the wrong turn that we typically take in conversations. We escalate when there was opportunity to excavate. And only one of these is going to lead to a learning well, they'll both lead to learning outcomes. Only one of these is going to lead to a healthy learning outcome. You know? And so when you feel that tension, when you feel that escalation, say, okay, nope, instead of building here, let's dig, let's excavate, let's unpack, you know? But do you know what it takes? You know, we talked about intellectual humility and intellectual honesty, but do you know what else it takes in order to be able to do this? Valuing the relationship. You know, you gotta value the relationship to see like, oh snap, if this is escalating and if I want to keep this friendship, if I want to keep this business partnership, if I want to keep this job, I don't know, you know, if I value the relationship, I need to keep that in mind, you know? So if I have an opportunity to excavate, okay, let me figure out what's going on here. I can take that step further and we can detour. We don't have to keep building this up to a ramp and we're both hollering at each other and somebody slammed doors or somebody's quit their job or somebody's quit the company or someone's dissolved the business or someone stopped working on the project or now the album ain't gonna get done or whatever else is going on, because no, we're actually a part of a community that had conversation about good faith. So we all came to the table prepared. You see how I worked that in there? That was dope. That was dope. All right, lock and load. All right, so we don't burn bridges. We build blueprints. We blueprint better ones. When we center productivity, we ask, what can we learn from this instead of how do I prove you wrong? You know, we focus on clarity, not victory. And then we walk away with more understanding, not just more adrenaline, you know? And so what happens when we prioritize polarization instead of productivity? Then we stop seeing people and we start seeing enemies. And we see that a lot, right? And the truth of the matter is, I know for many of you, this is the first time you're seeing some of this stuff, but I've been seeing it my whole life, you know? And when we get there, we start rewarding outrage, not insight. So we're picking whoever's the most upset. And now it's the only thing that validates your experience is your anger. And so if you're not angry, you're not valid. You don't have, you know, and it's very odd. And I often tell people, like, how do you know who's angry or not? You know? Like, I'm like James Baldwin and the Incredible Hulk. I'm always in a state of danger. Somebody gonna catch that. All right? And so when that happens, we talk past each other louder each time until no one's actually listening. And then we wonder why everything feels stuck. So the thing is, you don't have to agree with someone to grow with them. But you do have to choose productivity over polarization, because conflict isn't the enemy. Conflict can often be the opportunity. Conflict can often be an opportunity to build, to learn, to grow, to challenge some areas. It can be an opportunity to reconstruct your relationship, your understanding of the relationship, or even your understanding of yourself. And that is always beautiful. We have to get to that place where we're no longer like the child who's afraid to speak up. And we have to get to that place where we're no longer like the child who believes that all arguments mean that mommy and daddy hate each other. You know, we have to get to that place where we realize that conflict, disagreement, even arguments are a natural part of life and a natural part of relationships. If you just go out and nature walk sometimes, nature observe, you'll see animals having disagreements and arguments all the time. It is a natural part of life. But how we choose to consciously engage our arguments and our disagreements, this can be the difference maker. And so no, conflict, my friends, is not the enemy. I'd say stagnation is. You know, the older I get, the more I realize most people don't fear disagreement. What they really fear is disconnection. See, we've been taught to treat conflict like a crisis, to either avoid it, dominate it, or pretend it doesn't exist. But what if disagreement isn't a sign that something's wrong? What if it's a sign that we still care enough to engage? Because that's what good faith looks like. Not perfection, not performance, but presence. Damn, that's so good. I'm gonna have to repeat that. Being involved in a relationship. Damn, is this gonna be a relationship series? But it's like, no, it's not perfection. It's not performance. It's presence. You know, when we were doing our trust issues series of conversations, we said trust is not about being right. It's trust. The language of trust doesn't say I'm right. It says I'm here. Presence. You know, what good is it if you right and you all the way over there? It's presence, you know? So showing up with curiosity instead of contempt, choosing clarity over chaos, choosing growth over ego. If we want to build communities that last across differences, across ideologies, across deeply personal lines, then we can't keep avoiding the tension. We have to learn how to sit in it, to listen through it, to learn from it, and to live beyond it. So let this be your reminder. The goal is not to win the argument. The goal is to keep the relationship. Let's keep practicing. Let's keep building. Let's keep talking. I got to say it again. Let's keep practicing. You know, the moment you remove the idea of winning, then you realize that every conversation I'm practicing, every conversation is a new practice. You remove the idea of rehearsal because there's no competition and there's no judges. I'm practicing not to be better than, but to be better for. You know? So let's keep practicing. Let's keep building. And let's keep talking. You know? We got work to do. All right. So listen, family. If you're enjoying these conversations, I want to encourage you to take the next step and get connected. We want to bring as much value to your life as possible. So make sure to get signed up for our email updates, get signed up for Patreon where you can support financially, and Discord so that you can keep your fingers on the pulse of this growing global movement. Thank you so much. Have a great one.
Wow, what a powerful conversation we just had. When we talk about good faith and disagreement therapy, we're not just unpacking a communication strategy, we're talking about the future of how we relate to one another. So here's the truth: good faith creates bridges where there used to be barriers. It's not about being agreeable, it's about being authentic and open. And it's not just about what we say that matters, it's how we choose to show up. So we learned today that conflict isn't the enemy, right? Disconnection is. So when the way we forward isn't in silencing disagreement, but in creating spaces where disagreement can be productive, not polarizing. And that reminds me of a quote that I once heard, and that quote is, you don't gotta agree with me to walk with me, but you do gotta walk like you care. So that's the heartbeat of good faith. Walking with people, even those you don't agree with curiosity, care, and courage. So guess what? Now is your turn. Let's keep the conversation going after the live. Jump in the comments or go in Discord. We want to hear from you. What's one disagreement you've had that taught you something you didn't expect? Or even simply, what does good faith look like in your world right now? Okay, this is how we build better communities, by talking with each other, not at each other. And we're so glad that you're a part of this journey with us. We will see you in the comments, and until next time, keep rising and be the bridge.